Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting open. We'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we work and live, the Palawa people of this land, Tasmania, and recognise their continuing connection to the land, skies and waters. We pay respect to the elders past and present. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd also like to advise you that today's council meeting is being live streamed and recorded. This means that members of the public who are unable to attend in person can still observe the proceedings. By remaining in this chamber, you are consenting to being filmed and recorded. Please be mindful of your actions and contributions as they will be visible to the public, and thank you for your cooperation. 25.1.1 is present, 25.1.2 is apologies, which we have Councillor Janet Plum, Councillor Gary Barnes and Councillor Kylie Wright. We have no leave of absence. 25.1.4 we have staff in attendance, and 25.2.0 is public question time. Do we have any questions from the members of the public? We have no questions. 25.3.0 a declaration of an interest of a councillor or close associate. We have nil. 25.4.1 is confirmation of the minutes of the council meeting held on the 14th of April 2025. Can I have somebody move that the minutes be confirmed? Councillor Oldham, seconded Councillor Chappell. Have we any commentary on the minutes? Councillor Johnston.
Thank you.
Good morning, Liz.
Good morning. It's just the same what I raised in the workshop, which was, I think that the statement that I made in support of your minutes, and
this is about confirmation of the accurate minutes, not changing the minutes.
I know I don't think it's accurate, because I think they should have been that should have been in it. Excuse me, Mayor, I'd just like to finish that. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's an accurate reflection of the events of that meeting. I think the statement should have been in there. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Councillor Johnson, but the minutes are decision only at the moment, is what our policy and procedure is, not the recorded meeting is there for everybody to hear. So, as I stated last time, if you'd like anything different, it needs to come to council through workshop, and we'll discuss it and then take it through to council if we're going to change our policy. Anything other commentary on the minutes? If not, I will take it to the vote. All in favour? Carried, unanimous, thank you. 25.5.0 is the council workshop held since the 14th of April for your deliberations. 25.6.0 is a planning authority, and this council meeting we do not have any at all, so we won't go into the planning authority. 25.7.1 is outstanding matters. John, would you like to take over if there's any questions from councillors on outstanding matters?
Happy to answer questions, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have any questions on the outstanding matters for our General Manager, please? Councillor Carter.
Just give me a moment to get organised, so I'm scrolling. Just in regards to the online access centres, I'm aware that the 3 online access centres have had a recent meeting with Patrick Gregory from Libraries, and I'm wondering if there's anything council's aware of that can, well, I know that there's funding secured for the next 12 months. I'm a little bit concerned that beyond that there's no certainty from those online access centres, and I'm wondering if council knows anything about that. Have we had a meeting with Patrick Gregory? Is there any anything to look forward to in the future?
Through Mr. Mayor, I haven't met with Mr. Gregory. I'm not sure whether there was a meeting with Mr. Gregory when I was on leave. I've had communication from the St Helens Centre, but nothing in relation to any meetings with other centres as well. But certainly we're keen to engage with Mr. Gregory in relation to the future and what it might hold.
Thank you. And just a second one, if that's okay.
Just
in regards to the reconciliation action plan, I'm aware that there's some reasons why we need to be more considered moving forward into the future. But I'm just wondering, given that Councillor Drummond moved a motion quite a number of months ago now in regards to Indigenous names, whether that could be another consideration in terms of us moving forward to, I'm not trying to add to the workload, I'm simply saying can we get some stuff done in terms of Aboriginal stuff, and wondering if we can look at getting that name advanced.
Through Mr Mayor, as previously reported a few times, it got fed through the Reconciliation Action Plan process to have an overall approach to it. So now, given where the plan's at now, we are at a stage where we will either progress that individually or in a broader sense with other dual naming for the whole area, not just one site. And there's a process that has to go through that, which does involve substantial engagement with the local Aboriginal community as well. So it's not a simple case of let's go and put a sign up. We actually have to go through an engagement process. Whether the Manager of Community Services wants to make any additional comment on that.
Chris,
sure.
would you like to come forward, Chris?
As you're aware, we've made some, after we had discussions around the future of where we go in regards to the RAP, we've done a draft action list, which that's on there, the dual naming. And like the General Manager has said, there is a very extensive process we need to go through to change the name into dual naming. So once this notice of the actions come back to Council at the next workshop, we can then move forward and start that process of dual naming.
Thank you.
Yes. Just around the Scamander Beaumaris structure plan, I note that there was an inception meeting on the 2nd of May, or it was scheduled. Just wondering, has this project commenced and did the scheduled meeting go ahead?
Sorry, Councillor Johnson, just letting me know that I've sent an invitation out to councillors this morning to attend a workshop meeting with Deb and the consultants this Thursday. So, yeah.
Thank you. So that means that meeting happened and it's going ahead.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions? If we have no further questions, we'll move through to 25.8.0, which is petitions, and we have nil. 25.9.0 is noted as a motion, and we have nil. 25.10.0 is councillors' questions on notice, we have nil. 25.11.0 is councillors' questions without notice. Do we have any questions from any councillor without notice? Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just wanted to, there's quite a bit of background here, but my main question is, well, I'll read it all out, but in the Examiner on May the 6th, there was, sorry, I have to read, but I'm also, then I can't see you properly. On May the 6th, there was an article in the Examiner headed Community Wins Bid to Save the 1950s Building. As Council reserves its decision, it was reported that the proposed modifications would render the building suitable for storage but not for community gatherings or regular public occupancy. Mayor, I'm not sure if you saw that article, the exhibition. It was a very good article, but there was that piece in it. Modifications would render the building suitable for storage but not for community gatherings or regular public occupancy. This statement is unfortunately in contradiction to the Mayor's motion and has caused some concern in the community about the actual long-term intentions. Council staff have previously stated that they were not insisting that the building be reclassified, nor insisting on air conditioning, that it must be installed. So my question, Mayor, is it was a good article, but there's something quite distinctly incorrect in it compared to what was put forward by yourself and also with the supporting statement from the Acting General Manager at the time. I'm wondering if it would be possible if the Mayor could do a release or a press statement clarifying the intentions that the building will be structurally restored to again allow safe, full community uses as a Class B assembly building where people may gather for social, theatrical, political, religious or civic purposes and not just for storage purposes. I'm not sure, I'm assuming you saw that article.
I'm sorry, we won't debate that now.
Yeah.
What I'll do is ask you to give that question to
Yes.
our EA, and
Yes.
there will be a response back
Yep.
to you within 7 working days once
Thank you.
council has looked into that for you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other councillors' questions without notice? We have nil. 25.12.1 is the Mayor's communications for the period ending the 19th of May, for your information. 25, Councillor Carter.
Just wondering if you could provide any information around the meeting you had on the 5th of May with Dave French from Plainworks. The reason I asked the question is he approached me over 2 years ago with a proposal, and I was quite excited about it, but it obviously hasn't progressed that far to this stage. I'm just wondering if you've got anything to report in regards to that meeting.
Yes, I have, Councillor Carter. We had a very, very good meeting with Dave and his wife Claire, and also the project manager, and councillors working in a very collaborative manner with them, and we will allow the commercial enterprise discussions to continue. So we had a very, very fruitful meeting, and it's in council situation now of being looked at and worked through in a manner suitable for both parties.
Beautiful, thank you.
So 25.12.2 is councillor reports for the period ending 19th of May. The Reagan A Chamber of Commerce, Councillor Deputy Mayor Christy Chappell. Nothing. And obviously Councillor Drummond is not here for NRM Special Committee. Do we have anything from that?
We were meant to have a meeting, but due to lack of availability of people, we have deferred it.
No worries. Councillor Lefevre, East Coast Tourism.
Yes, I'm very pleased to announce that the 2 new board members are Jason Unwin. Jason's obviously from Easy Tiger and will be is located here in St Helens, and Greg Ross, who is located in Coles Bay, and Greg is from Freycinet area. So one from each municipality, which is very fair, should do a great job. On May the 28th and 29th, we've got a 2-day overnight meeting for East Coast Tourism at Spring Bay, and I was pleased to report that the Positive Impact Plan community sessions seemed to go well, and had quite a lot of people there, and they seemed as though they valued the feedback.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lefevre. The Mental Health Action Group, no meeting. And Access and Inclusion Advisory Committee with Councillor Drummond not here. Councillor Johnson, do you have anything?
No.
Councillor Carter? Nothing, thank you. Biofires Master Plan Steering Committee, Councillor Carter.
Thank you. The Biofires Master Plan latest rounds of public consultations just been completed, and most were well attended. Anson's Bay and Billong Bay probably had nearly 20 people in the room at both events. Probably the business one wasn't that broadly represented, but at this time, in the next evening, a very pleasing roll-up at Portland Hall with a young demographic, which was quite exciting. And public consultation is still available, and the other thing I would like to do is just make a special acknowledgement of Chris Hughes and her contribution to those meetings, given she even had to sacrifice Mother's Day evening to do those jobs, so very much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Councillor Carter. 25.13.1 is the Corporate Services Department report. Good morning, Ralph.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, councillors.
Well, would you like to walk us through this one? And obviously, municipal revaluation, etc., is always an interesting time.
Certainly, Mayor, it is a pretty busy time. Councillors, you'll note in the report that I've listed the budget estimates discussions that we've had at the workshop recently. Preparation of that for the next workshop is coming together quite well. and we'll have another discussion on that coming up in June. We've had the Tas Audit Office here last week. They will issue their interim findings next week, but all's looking pretty good there. We've made some pretty solid progress on the areas that they've asked us to focus on, which I've noted there in the report. I've also noticed that our investments continue to perform really well, but we are budgeting next year for those to gradually reduce. And it's worth noting, councillors, that there is also a $2.4 million loan payment to come out of our cash reserves at the end of June. So that'll also impact our interest returns on term deposits next year. But it also means we're paying less interest, conversely, on the loans. The municipal revaluation, councillors, is a major project for us in the time ahead. I've been sitting on the tender panel for that for the last 3 or 4 months, and I'm pleased to report that the tender committee has endorsed Local Government Proprietary Limited, who undertook the last valuation for Bracket A, to undertake this one as well. The pricing for that was significantly more affordable than the other players in the market. There were 2 other players who, one was from Victoria, the other was a national company, and they were in the order of $100,000 more expensive than what this company was. So it was really pleasing that we are able to secure LG Services for the reval. The rate summaries there, Mayor, everything is running fairly close to what you'd expect for this time of the year, and I'm open to any questions on the report.
Thank you very much, Rao. Can I have somebody move that the report be received? Councillor Carter, seconded Councillor Johnson. Any questions or requests to Rao on the corporate services report?
This is not a question, I just would like to thank you for your efforts. Well, I know it's a busy time.
If we have no questions, I'll take this to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous, thank you. 25.13.2 is the monthly financial report, and once again over to you, Ralph.
Thanks, Mayor. Councillors, the profit and loss statement, balance sheet and statement of cash flows is all there. Really, there's nothing out of what we'd expect budget-wise to be occurring at this time of the year. Operating grants are down, but they've been down all year, as we know, and that relates to the financial assistance grants payments. Probably, Mayor, you probably know more than I do of what might be happening with those, whether we're going to get them paid in advance, or maybe that'll happen after the ALGA meeting coming up. Hopefully they continue to pay them, but we'll see. And yep, just noting that interest and investment income is $258,000 higher than budgeted. That is also due to the timing of some of the maturity of our investments. And again, capital grants are down. Material and services are also down on budget. But I do note that a lot of our capital works program is being, a lot of that work has been done in the last month, which will hit our books for the next reporting period. And beyond that, it's just notes that we had some extra expenses in relation to the Black Summer Bushfire Recovery Program that we had to cover to get those projects complete.
Thank you very much, Rao. Can I have somebody move that the report be received? Councillor Fever, seconded Councillor Oldham. Any questions on the report? Look, Rao, to your question, no, I have no knowledge on whether we're going to get paid in advance. It's very hard to tell. They normally don't give any headwind on it so that we can plan for it. It has been paid in advance for quite a few years, but when it first originally started under the Morrison government, it was given as a one-off payment to support councils, and it should be forgiven. But we've actually had it where it continues on and they pay some in advance, which it leaves the uncertainty, but it should have been forgiven. as it was basically a grant to the local government sector through the end of COVID. But unfortunately, that hasn't happened, and we're still in this place where we're uncertain on what's happening.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mayor. I mean, it would be good to have certainty so we can budget for it, but I'm sure you'll be pushing for that at ALGA when it comes up.
We certainly are. Do we have any questions? If not, I'll take it to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous, thank you. 25.13.3 is the Visitor Information Centre report. Rio, would you like to speak to this?
Certainly. Thanks, Mayor. Councillors, the Visitor Information Centre and History Room report is provided there. The main tourists coming through for the month were from Victoria, Queensland and South Australia, with a few overseas visitors from the UK and New Zealand. Had many comments that the Breaker Day area is one of the best areas catering for campers with water and dump points, etc. Which is interesting because I think coming out of the Bay of Fires Master Plan comments that actually contradicts what we're hearing from others. But that's not really for me to say. The Volunteer Film Festival is noted there. Chris will probably provide more information on that coming up. And a few other areas of interest there from the History Room Coordinator. The statistics were fairly standard for this time of the year, and revenue was fairly standard as well. So, open to any questions on that, councillors, through you, Mayor.
Thank you. Can I have somebody move the report be received? Councillor Johnston, second Councillor Oldham. Any questions, please?
I have a question. It's not one that I expect an answer for. I'm just interested in reading about the Garth ruins, and I'm wondering if you have any awareness of what that entails. And it just seems to me to be quite a significant piece of history to be acknowledged and preserved.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Carter, for that. It's certainly interesting what the History Room and the volunteers work on in relation to the historic areas of our municipality that often just go unnoticed. And the Garth ruins are certainly something in the Fingal Valley with the Fingal Valley History Group. It's an important site. I have to admit it's not something I've got a deep understanding of, but certainly it may be something I can ask Kim to provide some more information to council if you feel it's relevant.
I guess I think so, because there are a number of celebrations coming up in the near future in terms of the Fingal Valley. It would be really good to have as much information as possible in regards to the history of the place.
It certainly brings up an interesting point about the bicentenary of Fingal that's coming up. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's the 200-year celebration of the town.
Of the town.
Yeah.
I think so.
Which might be 2027. I'll have to get more information on that, but there's certainly some
Are any of the originals
we can certainly go and ask, man. But yeah, it is an interesting time historically for the Fingal Valley, and it might be something we as a council need to look into more with Kim from the History Room and with Fingal Valley Neighbourhood House, and try and do a little bit more work around what we can do to celebrate these historical moments coming up. I know we've had some discussions around a few projects, but it's not directly in my wheelhouse, Councillor Carter, but I'm aware of it, and certainly keen to do what we can to help them.
Can I just make one last comment about that thing? Just given the positive impact plan with the East Coast Council, I just see it maybe it's an opportunity to. There was mention of some funding that might support different initiatives in that space. So I'm wondering if we can explore the history of the Fingal Valley as one of those aspects that could be portrayed a little bit more in the public space. Thank you.
Councillor Johnston.
Good idea. I'm pleased to see that there's a exhibition on Winifred Curtis in Scamander. It feels good that there's something from Scamander, but also from the natural environment, that we are looking at the history of what people have loved and cared for and have given to our community.
Yeah.
So I'm really pleased to see that.
Yeah,
Have
yeah,
you got it?
absolutely. Look, the Winifred Curtis Reserve is probably the exemplar of community groups coming together to buy land and put it into a nature reserve. We have examples of community groups doing things similar, but nothing to that scale, and nothing that has the sort of community benefit that Winifred Curtis Reserve has. It was a really progressive project in the time.
And lots of people continue to be part of that history.
Yeah.
It is a really significant, as far as history and our
Yep.
Landscape, that is a bit of, remnant, coastal,
Yeah,
bush
absolutely.
that nobody else has.
And
It's
look-
very precious. So I'm really pleased that this sort of stuff is coming into our history room and
Yeah,
for Break a Day. So
Yeah,
I
and
just
look-
wanted to thank them for that, and I
absolutely.
wanted to note it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Now, look, just to touch on that, Mayor, it was Fingal was gazetted as a town in 1827. So it's it's a fairly
Pretty significant milestone.
Pretty significant
Let's hope the
milestone.
pub's open and we can go and have a beer.
Yep. Luckily, there's not as many pubs as there used to be at Fingal.
No worries, thank you very much, Ralph.
Thanks, mate.
Any other questions? If not, I'll take it to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous, thank you. 25.13.4 is the audit panel minutes. Rao, would you like to go through this, if there's anything you'd like to highlight?
Look, thank you, Mayor. Councillors, as you know, the audit panel has an annual work plan that we go through. It's a very significant piece of work that we have to deliver annually for this. And in many ways, the minutes come to you to confirm that we have actually undertaken the work, so that you can be assured that those key internal controls are actually being completed. It also plays a really important role as we come towards budget time around ensuring that reviews of, for example, the long-term financial plan, the financial management strategy, some of the preliminary budget parameters and assumptions, and the policies and procedures that inform those are actually complete, so that when you're presented with, for example, the budget estimates, that the work that goes into that at a governance level was actually being completed and signed off by the audit panel. These probably could have come to the council meeting last month, but I think it's important to try and show that linkage between audit panel through to council, and that's why they're coming this month. I will note that the next audit panel meeting is around the same time as our next workshop, and the draft budget, the draft rates resolution, everything else will go to the audit panel prior to that being presented to council for adoption in the June meeting.
Thank you very much, Rao. Have we got somebody who'd like to move? We received this report, Councillor Fever, seconded Councillor Oldham. Any questions to Rao on this? I'll take it to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous, thank you. 25.14.1 is the Works and Infrastructure Report. David, would you like to come to the table, please? So is there anything that you'd like to talk to us through this report, David?
Councillors, the real ones is just the capital works program. As you're aware, we were delayed with 2 flood events. We're catching up on that, and we're pretty well almost done with capital works, and that's a good outcome for this year given the workload.
Thank you very much, David. Can I have somebody move the Works and Infrastructure Report be received? Councillor Fever, seconded Councillor Oldham. Any questions, please, on the report? We have no questions. I'll take it to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous, thank you. And 25.14.2 is the animal control report. Would you like to speak to that one, David, or just take it as read?
Thank you, Mayor. Take it as read because it's a summary of activity.
Thank you.
That's occurred.
No, somebody moved that the report be received. Councillor Carter, seconded. Councillor Oldham. Any questions to the report? I'll take it to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous, thank you. 25.14.3 is the curbside waste collection schedule. David, would you like to speak to this one?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, this item's been through 2 workshops and it's been updated as a result of the first workshop discussion. And what we're asking Council to do is consider to adopting the revised curbside collection service from July 1. And that is that we're essentially doing in week 1 of every fortnight a general waste collection, in week 2 is recycling, and extending the schedule from Monday through to Friday because of issues surrounding fatigue levels for truck drivers, and that schedule is the same every week. The 4 service collection schedules that we put in as specials at Christmas and Easter for general waste still remain. So that leaves you with 30 general waste collections per annum and 26 recycling collections.
Thank you very much, David. Can I have somebody move? Councillor Chappell, seconded Councillor Fever. Any questions or comments? Councillor Fever?
I'd just like to congratulate David and the staff who worked on this. I think you've done a fantastic job. It's a very practical answer. It's safe. It makes it safer for our staff, and and we become more self-sufficient also. So congratulations.
Thank you. No further questions. I'll take this to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous. Thank you. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
25.15.1 is the Community Services Report. And good morning, Chris.
Good morning, councillors.
So, Chris, would you like to talk to us about your report?
Yes, certainly. Can I just keep you updated on some things that have happened since I submitted the report? The volunteer event which was held this year the numbers were down slightly from last year, but those that attended have provided some great feedback that it was really well. They liked the idea of showcasing the volunteers via film, so we might do it again next year, but we'll certainly look at, as our films were down, but we just might have to start the process a bit earlier. But everyone who went had a great time. The 200th anniversary of Fingal, we're working with some groups that are interested in meeting. We've had some feedback from some Fingal residents that want to be part of this group. So we'll work with Fingal Valley Neighbourhood House about setting up a meeting to start that work. And the Bay of Fires, as Councillor Carter said, we finished our first round of face-to-face community engagement, and it was well attended for the time of year that it was, because there were other things on. But there'll be another section of face-to-face community engagement when the draft plan comes out. So we were looking at maybe 4 to 6 weeks around that, but I've got a meeting on Friday to look at timeframes. So are there any questions?
I know somebody moved the report be received. Councillor Johnson, seconded Councillor Carter. Any questions to Chris on the report? Councillor Carter?
I'm just wondering if she's able to give us any further comment about the Learn and Drive mentor program. I've been approached by a member of public who sees it as an absolutely vital program, as I'm sure everybody does. I'm just wondering if there's anything further to report in terms of the concern around maybe trying to attract sponsorship and stuff like that.
So I've had some feedback from some car dealerships and no luck. They've cut their prices I've trimmed their prices, but I'm still $17,000 short. I've got a follow-up with Motors today to see how I go. But yeah, Motors have even cut their sponsorship, I believe, with the state government as well. So, but I'll give it a go. Because we do agree it is an important part.
Given our isolation, I guess it's vital for young people around town to be able to have access to service like this. So I guess what I'm saying, I'm certainly not criticising the efforts that's been put in today. We need to find some way of making sure this program exists in the future. If sponsorship isn't the answer, then I don't know, community fundraising or something of that nature. We have to do something to keep this program together.
Through there, once I get all the quotes, I'll put a brief together for the management team to consider. But we're not quite there yet.
Any further questions? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. And thanks for the report. I'm just on the scope of works for the rail trail from Cornwall to St Mary's. Great to see that. Is there anything that you can, any more information you can share with us, or?
Through you, Mayor, not yet. It's still being considered.
Okay, thank you.
We've got to make sure that we cover everything. Yeah.
I look forward to hearing more about it. Thank you.
We have no further questions. I'll take to the vote. All in favour? Gallagher, unanimous. Thank you. 25.15.2, reconciliation plan artwork. Chris.
Thank you, Mayor. So we've had many discussions around the RAP, the Reconciliation Action Plan, or if we're not going to go down that path, we'll have to look at changing its name. At the last workshop, we did talk about still sponsoring some artwork, so I've brought this back for Council to consider, that we sponsor the artwork and that you make an allocation of $20,000 in the budget to cover the cost.
Move the officer's recommendation. Councillor Carter, second Councillor Johnston. Do we have any comments on this, please? Councillor Carter.
I know we discussed it in the workshop, but I'm a little bit confused. I'm just wondering if we can just have a little conversation around the actual figure that's been presented there, that 20,000. It's not just for the artwork, is it?
Through you, Mayor, it could well be. I won't know until we actually finalise the agreement with the artist, if Council chooses to go down this path. But it's easier for me to come up higher than it is to come in lower, because then I would have to bring it back to Council again.
So it's also my understanding, Chris, that if we choose to not go through or whatever, we still have to do this piece of art no matter what we do. Is that correct?
Through you, Mayor, at the workshop, that's what councillors said that they would like to do, is still have this piece of artwork, yes.
I don't support the motion because I believe $20,000 is an exorbitant amount to cost to our ratepayers to just help with the development of a reconciliation plan. Raises a number of questions in my mind, and they are: what benefits will the artwork actually have to the community? What will the value of the artwork be financially? What will the insurance costs be? Where will it be housed? And I believe if we are to support a meaningful reconciliation plan, I believe there needs to be a strong focus on working with our local Aboriginal identities, and this would achieve a practical, sustainable and meaningful outcome.
Through you, Mayor, can I respond to that?
Yes,
so I have drafted a set of actions with a very local focus, which I will bring back to the next workshop. That was as per the last workshop too. So my new actions are very much local focused, working with local communities, as what was suggested by Council to try and move this project forward.
Again, sorry, I got two parts to this. It was my understanding that Bonnie Starrick is actually was picked by our local community members or recommended by our local.
Correct. Correct.
I'm just a little bit hesitant I've got no issues with doing artwork either. I just would like us to have a really clear understanding of where we're going with this plan in regards to our local bit before we actually start sort of saying that we're then going to put some artwork to it. I just feel like that's putting the horse before the cart. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying, yeah, we're going to do that now, but we're not quite sure where we're still working through it, what we're actually going to do.
That's fine. I'm only brought it back because councillors asked that it come back to this council meeting.
Yeah, I just feel like that probably should come in maybe a bit later once we've got a very clear definition of what we're actually doing and how we're going to make it work, whether we're going to go all the way through Reconciliation Tasmania, Reconciliation Australia and have this big plan, or whether we're just going to work with our local First Nations people and work out exactly what we're going to have that's more adaptable for us. So,
Councillor Chapel, are you alluding, foreshadowing an motion or an amendment to withhold this until we get further down the track to make a definitive decision?
Is that where you're leading? And I
No,
don't-
I'd like
I don't
a bit
wanna be
more
leading
discussion
you.
around the table, that's all, just first, if that's okay.
Councillor Carter?
I was one of the original supporters of the intent of that motion. I'm happy to do as you're suggesting, but I think there's a lot of wisdom in the room that suggests we need to be more considered. I'm also looking forward to the fact that Chris is developing a plan around more local conversations, so I would be happy to move that.
Is you happy to?
Yes.
So we have two officers' recommendations. Do we just need a motion?
Through Mr Mayor, if we could just have a motion from one of the other councillors that we defer this item until we have resolved the development of a local version of reconciliation action plan.
The two of us actually,
You can't.
Yeah, I was about to say I can't.
and I
I'm
seconded
happy
it,
to do that.
so we
That's
can.
why
Yeah.
one,
You're
the other,
happy,
Yeah,
you're
that's
happy to
fine,
do that,
absolutely,
Christine?
I just think we need to.
and the second one.
Okay, can I have a seconder for that? Councillor Fever?
What?
So the motion is that we defer this decision
Until we have resolved the completion of a local version of
A local
reconciliation action plan.
So everybody's clear with that? The motion is that we defer until we have completion of a local content to develop.
And sorry, and greater clarity around what the RAP is
Yeah.
involved.
So that was moved by councillor Chapman and seconded by councillor Fever. I'll just wait till we've got it so that you're happy with the wording.
The motion. Just, can I be clear, sorry, Mayor, we're deferring this item. Oh, there, okay, sorry. Now this item is there. This report.
Okay. So the motion is to defer this item
Actually, can we just change completed to resolved?
to resolve. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good. So you're happy with that?
That will do.
So the motion is that we defer this item until we resolve the local content of the reconciliation action plan. That's been moved by councillor Chapel, seconded by councillor Fever. We have anyone who wants to speak against this? If not, I'll take it to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris, for all your work. Thanks, Chris, for all your work.
25.16.1 is the Development Services Report. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning, Mayor and councillors.
Jake, would you like to speak to your report?
Sure, strategic planning, I guess, probably continues to be the main focus for our team at the moment, and with Deb leading the way in that space. So, just council information, just keep your eye out for any, consultation periods and things like that to get involved where you like, I guess. But, pretty busy in that space, which is good to see some progress. Works commenced at Billon Bay Village Green, also in relation to the new barbecue. So that's sort of my next project to get up and going. So, happy to take any questions, Mayor.
Thank you. Can I have somebody move that the report be received? Councillor Oldham and seconded Councillor Fever. Any questions to Jake on his report? Councillor Carter.
It isn't a question, it's a comment in regards to the NTRLS, which I think was an amazing attendance from Break a Day in terms of that whole process. When there are 8 councillors in the northern region and we had 50% of the councillors available and 50%, or not 50% of the officers, but certainly a very strong contingent of officers. I think it's a very outstanding example of our commitment to getting it right.
Well done, Councillor Carter. I couldn't agree more. Any other comments? If not, I'm going to take this to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous. Thank you. 25.16.2. Good morning, Polly. NRM committee meeting minutes. Polly, is there anything that you'd like to discuss through your presentation to us on this?
Thank you, Mayor. NRM committee met in February this year, and this report comes with the minutes from the meeting and a table summarising outstanding items as of that meeting. The next scheduled meeting, unfortunately, which was just after Council's workshop, has been postponed to later this month. But I ask councillors to consider the items there and anything in the minutes that they feel needs to be further acted on. There's a number of items there just for your acknowledgement, and an item with the following agenda item shortly on appointments to the committee.
Thanks, Polly. Can I somebody move that council receive the minutes? Councillor Carter, seconded Councillor Owen. Any questions to Polly? I'll take this to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous, thank you. 25.16.3 is the appointment of the Baker Bay Council Resource Management Committee representatives. Polly.
Thank you, Mayor. Two simple reappointments of members who wish to continue serving on the committee in accordance with the charter for the NRM committee. And also the second recommendation, unfortunately, I haven't got, I'll have to ask for council to consider who they'd like to make the chair of the committee. As I mentioned, the scheduled meeting of the NRM committee last week didn't happen. It's scheduled for the 29th of this month, so I haven't any further news on the committee's views on that. But essentially it's, Janet Drummond has resigned her chair position from the committee, and the remaining members are Liz Johnson and Kylie is right.
Well, thanks, Polly. Can I have somebody move the officer's recommendation that we reappoint Craig Lockwood and Todd Dudley, Councillor Fever, seconded Councillor Chappell, and then also we need to nominate or appoint. Do we want to do that now, John?
Yep.
Can I have anybody around the table who would like to
Councillor Carter's got his hand up.
Councillor Carter?
I'm nominating Councillor Johnson for that position.
Councillor Johnston, and Councillor Johnson, will you accept that nomination?
Thank you. Yes, Mayor, I will.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations?
Oh, sorry.
If we have anybody who'd like to speak against that, we haven't. I'll take that part to the vote, so I'll do this in that section. All in favour of Liz on the appointment?
I
I think you can vote for yourself, but it's a good try. All in favour, thank you. Do we need anything else as the proxy?
Through Mr. Mayor, you didn't actually do the first part as well, so we also need that, the first one.
Okay.
You've got Councillor Lefevre and Councillor Chappell there.
Okay,
So
well, we'll do that one first then, okay. So number one being the reappointment. We'll take that to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous. And number two
We've done that, yeah.
is okay. So if that's okay, now do we need to appoint a proxy now or at another point in time?
Can I ask, sorry, one question. Councillor Drummond has stepped down as the chair. Has she stepped down from the committee?
Now, I have no information to that effect, so no, I believe she's still appointed to the continues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
we
you.
won't-
I've
we
just
won't
so that I'm...
nominate- We won't nominate a proxy.
Oh, no,
We'll
she's
do
just-
that at a later point if we need to.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the committee's been operating informally with proxies through the committee. It's not formally part of the charter of councils to establish the committee.
We don't
So
need to inform
there's no real process for appointing a proxy. It's a matter between councillors. Previously, when a lot of councillors were appointed, that was discussed, and Councillor Carter put his hand up as being interested, and he's participated and been a great help. At this stage, that's where we are.
Could I just make a comment about that, just so that there's clarity in this process? I intend to step aside simply because I will help with the inclusion committee. So I want to step aside from the NRM, and I guess I've spoken to Vaughan, and I'm wondering if we can consider him in the future, but we don't have to do it today. I'm just giving you a foreshadowing of my intention and the recommendation that we consider Vaughan for that position.
Thank you very much. When we get to that point, we'll deal with it then. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Polly.
Thanks, Polly.
25.17.1 is the General Manager's report. So, John, this one will be pretty easy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just wanted to express my appreciation to the acting General Manager, who was the chair for Steve, so I really appreciated the work that he did in that role and the support that he got from Executive Officer Joan Richardson during that time as well. So since there's sort of slightly briefer report than normal there, but just wanted to add, just in relation to the Vice Master Plan consultation last Tuesday night, which I attended, and noting the positive impact project. That was, yeah, it was an interesting session to with the two of them running concurrently, and I think it actually helped to diversify the audience which was there, because ones which might go to one might go to the other and vice versa, so it actually helped to build those perspectives there as well. Just in relation to other things within my report, just want to particularly focus on a couple of things, and it's around the Eastern Strategic Regional Partnership, the childcare needs analysis, which focuses on St Mary's and then the East Coast. That's well underway, and I have to say I'm quite pleasantly surprised by the engagement with the consultants. They're doing a really good job on this project as well, so haven't used them before, but from all accounts, they've great feedback from that, so I'm looking forward to what that report looks like and providing a solid basis for the St Mary's project, but also for the other elements as well. The study hub is referred to there as well, so that's moved along slightly with a centre manager being appointed and started last week. So that's on track for opening in the next couple of months. The interesting one that's come up is in relation to St Helens District High School Master Plan. The Department of State Growth have approached Council about taking responsibility for the delivery of the project. There's some positives if we take responsibility for it, because it gives us a degree of control over the project, but it does come at a commitment of resources to actually deliver that. And certainly with the childcare one, which was effectively a state government project too for our community, that one was, that's taken a bit of effort. That one, I think this one here will take a greater amount of resources to do it. I've also raised concerns regarding the quantum of resources they've provided for it in the SRP of $75,000 for the consultancy. Seems a lot of money. If they want a decent master plan and to investigate the alternative of a new site, then I'm not convinced it's necessarily enough, and I've raised that with them as well. Haven't had a response back in relation to that, but I just wanted to flag it with councillors that we've been approached regarding taking on this project for the state government as well. Happy to discuss and answer questions, Mr. Mayor.
Can I have somebody move that the General Manager's report be received? Councillor Carter, seconded Councillor Chappell. Any questions to the General Manager on this report? Councillor Hoover.
It's not a question, it's just a comment. I find it appalling that state growth haven't done anything in that respect of the St Helens District High School potentially moving the sports ground. That was my baby, and for the last few months, I've been thinking, no one's spoken to me about it. What's going on? Obviously the consultants have missed me. To find out today, there aren't any consultants. So that money was decreed, what, 8 or 9 months ago?
Probably a bit longer than that, probably about 15 months ago.
And nothing's been done.
Funding was provided in the current year's budget. I think what's probably happened, reading between the lines, it's kicked around between a few government agencies. Probably education have said, we've got too much work on, we don't want to do this. State Growth have had conversations, what are we going to do with this? Oh, let's see if the council can take it over. I reckon that's what's happened. And then it's got to the end of the financial year, oh, we need to do something about this. So hence the phone call.
It's so important because you're not just talking about the school, you're talking about traffic movement.
Exactly.
You're talking about the utilisation of all the sporting facilities. Just goes on and on, the impact it could have.
It's quite a significant piece of work. Yes. If they're going to be doing genuine examination of how the current site might be developed in the future versus moving to an alternative site.
and also potentially implications for a pool, because, as I've stated, if the school was there, the education department would automatically pay for half a pool, so it may be possible.
Councillor Bevan, you just don't feel so sad that nobody rang you up, you know now, that there just wasn't anybody there to ring you up, so I hope,
Well, that's even
hope
worse.
you feel better. Here's the card.
While I support most of the things that Councillor Ferber said, I would be concerned about the workload that goes into Council's responsibility to deliver the project. Given my experience with the efforts John and others have put in recent months with the study hub and others, it certainly is a major workload. And so the other thing that I would think about there, as much as I'm supportive of what Barry's saying in regards to the movement, there are people in our community who don't necessarily agree with that sentiment. So I'm not sure the council wants to put themselves in the middle of that one either. So I'm not saying don't do it, I'm simply saying the consequence for that will be a heavy workload and some some community feedback that they probably don't want to receive.
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes, very valid observations there regarding that, and that's why, like, the consultancy has got to go through this process and really look at the pros and cons, and substantial engagement there as well, because yes, we've got a site here. The site is very constrained as to any future development on that site. It's a conversation, investigation, where you've got to look at the options, and it's not just now, it's like this is setting up the school for the decades ahead. So it's, yeah, important piece of work. I'll just wait and see. They haven't come back to me with a response to those things, and I just wanted to get councillors in the loop in relation to this, and we'll see where we go with it. So,
Councillor Chappell.
The same concerns as Councillor Carter. I just don't think this is within our actual scope of core business as such. Like, it's all well and good that we have a bit of a hand in and a bit of control of it, but you look at all these other ones, they've got consultants to do this, they've got consultants to do that, this, that and all the other, and all of a sudden they're asking council to do this, and it's going to be such a huge additional workload, and that doesn't sit comfortably with me, this one.
it comes down to how we write the consultant's brief to engage external consultants to do the work.
So we will engage the external, not us doing the work.
We
right.
would
I was
engage
thinking we're doing it.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it wasn't
you
clear.
do. That's all right.
It would be for us, council, to project manage the consultancy
Okay.
as such. So, yes, there's some work there, but we don't have the skills and expertise to actually undertake the work. This is about us taking responsibility for delivery of it, which I would have thought the education department could have done that, but apparently this is the way that they potentially want to go. As I said at the very outset, it gives us a degree of control. We can ensure that things are done to the in the best possible way for our community by having control. Whereas if we're not, and this is the only positive that I've been able to see from it so far, that if we don't do that, then we're just going to be another stakeholder in the process, and we'll have very little influence in an exhaustive examination happening. But that's the only positive I can really see in this. I can see a few negatives on the other side, but if they haven't got sufficient funds to do it properly, then I don't think we should be doing it.
Councillor Johnson.
Just on, thank you, Mayor, through you. Community engagement, that this is just, it's not really to you, John, but this is where I feel like I can raise it. The positive impact plan, which I actually am very excited about this project. But the community consultation, I went to every engagement. I did the one in St Mary's, Scamander, and then the one that I saw a number of us in St Helens, and I note that Barry was at the one in Scamander and that Ian was the one in St Mary's. They were very poorly attended, St Mary's and Scamander. And I'm just wondering how we get the actual positive impact plan people to get more of the community, because I believe people would have wanted to be more involved in that. Like, to be honest, Barry, I don't know how many, I think there was only actually 2 from Scamander. There was one, besides us, there was someone from Falmouth, and there were 2 actual Scamander residents there. Really good people, you know, and into, you know, positive tourism, but it felt really sparse as far as community. And then in St Mary's, it was a wonderful conversation, but again, you know, there was only about 8 people. And again, I think that those communities are very engaged and want to do things. So I feel I need to raise that because it is a really great project, and and they made it very clear how unique it was, and that we had a great opportunity to implement it. The state government was, you know, the way they were doing it, all of that stuff. But I just felt they didn't have the community there.
Yeah, it's a very valid observation, Councillor Johnson, and I think it's something, if you reflect back on what we've seen with other engagement processes that we've had over the last 12 months, we've seen this tendency where people want to engage online at their own time, not necessarily going out to a meeting. And it's a trend that just seems to have developed over the last few years. How we get people to come to those sorts of sessions is a real challenge there as well. So obviously we can take these observations back to the consultants and East Coast Has Tourism, and obviously Councillor Fever's on the board, and say, like, yeah, how are people engaging? Are they engaging in another manner, or is it just the sign of the times? Or maybe people are, like, there's been a lot of engagement going on as well, so unless they really feel affected by what's been going on, they just hands up and they just don't bother.
So what we're saying is the people in, like, it felt like, you know, St Helens was well attended. Now, we can say that part of that's been along Bay, but I'm not sure. I know that there were people there for both, and I know because I spoke to people, and I know that there were people there for the impact. So it feels, I mean, that's one thing. I'd just like to know how they actually reached out. I mean, because I think that there could have been.
Let's see if Barry may have an answer.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
There were those sessions, there were drop-in coffee chat sessions as well, which I think were reasonably well attended. There were surveys, and this, as Ali Anderson said on the night here in St Helens, this isn't the end point of it. They're going to go back to the community again. But to answer your question, we've got a meeting on the 28th, 29th of May, so if you like, I can go and find out what sort of numbers attended each of those sessions and bring it back to a workshop, if that helps.
It's also just how they approached it, because, you know, it was successful in St Helens, there's no doubt about that. Like, I was really thrilled to, that was the 3rd one I'd been to, and it was really well attended, and I thought, well, was there some type of different, I know it's a bigger population, etc., but I think it is actually quite an important, it's a very big part of our community tourism.
Yeah, the communications will be the same for all the sessions. The difference with the St Helens one is probably the dual approach with AFI's master plan plus the PIP. I wonder if it's just a positive impact plan, how much, what the attendance might look like if AFI's master plan might have had a bigger draw. It would be something we'll never know, but that was the one difference between the sessions, was that dual approach.
But that was a success, so it would be good to be able to replicate that so that all the community either do know or, yeah.
I think, Barry, can I just ask a question to you? I think one of them said there was 384 online surveys.
I think that was the Bay of Flies.
Yeah. Because they were just doing those things then, Mayor, and I did know the drop-in session that they had at Scamander, no one came. They ended up swimming. She got a swim.
Okay, Chrissy.
I'd be really interested to know what the online surveys were for that, very few hours back, because that was very much flooding social media, both Instagram, Facebook and all those sorts of things. So that option for people to do online was very well pushed as well. So I'd like to actually know how many.
Can we
That's
just
good.
leave Barry to go on the 29th to his next meeting, and we just
Bring it back to workshop.
Mr. Barry to bring the information back, and then
That's
we can,
right.
because as it was made very, very clear, this is the starting point.
Mm.
There's going to be other opportunities going through. Councillor Carter.
I would just will make one quick comment in terms of the presentation. Ali Anderson did a really good job of getting the thoughts of the room, so that's a real positive.
Oh, yeah, there's no...
Okay, if we have no further comments on that, I'll take it to the vote. Hang on, we're scared. Will they move? Any comments? There are not. We'll take it to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous. Do you want to stop for a 10-minute break, John?
We've got this item, Mr Mayor, and close council. I reckon we can keep going.
Okay, if everybody's happy, we'll see if we can have a very quick council meeting. 25.17.2 is the annual plan quarterly review, and John, would you like to go through any of this that you feel that is highlighted?
Yeah, I just want to highlight a few things, Mr Mayor, and it'll dovetail back into the conversation we've just had. So just noting, three-quarters of the way through, so target is 75%. We're sitting at 70% completion, which based on previous years is slightly above where we would normally be, that's great. Just in relation to what's happened in the last quarter, I just thought I'd touch on the highlights from that, because as we are three-quarters of the way through, this is when we start to see projects being completed as well. So through this period, the Portland Court building review, that's been completed. There's been the 4 Black Summer bushfire projects completed as well, so the Fingal Park, the Fingal Community Shed, the Emergency Evacuation Indoor Centre, and the Telstra Tower at Thin. So all those 4 projects took quite a bit of council resource, a little bit unique to have 4 at once, but it's great to get those finished as well. Road Asset Management Plan and Madurl's Asset Management, so that was another big one finished as well, so that part of it. And the Study Hub funding application was another highlight of that quarter. Just to paint a bit of a picture of the ongoing work that we've got, and this dovetails into the observations around what we've got going on. Apart from the childcare project, there's also the Binlong Bay Master Plan. We've got the aquatic facility study happening, Scamander Bay Morris Structure Plan, Industrial Land Use Project, Scamander Rivermouth Project, Implementation of Recreational Trail Strategy. David's been working very hard on some waste management area with Scamander Inlet Landfill, the Scamander Waste Loading Facility as well, and the Reconciliation Action Plan. So they're the main live projects we've still got rolling at the moment.
Go after lunch.
No, actually we do that before morning tea on Monday. Then for the rest of the week it's a breeze. Sorry. So that just paints a bit of a picture of what's there, and that's without a number of small ones. They're the critical things that we've got going on there at the moment. So some of those obviously going to carry forward into next financial year, but it's the volume, and it's not unusual to have that number there, but we've got quite a broad spread of projects underway at the moment as well. All very important. So just sort of looking through a couple of the critical things, and then you bring in the external one like the positive impact. And so certainly in the context of the key areas that we've got working through communications, I think we made a strategic decision in relation to the website redevelopment just to take that to a certain point and then hold, because there's actually an engagement process involved with this, and we could suffer from engagement burnout potentially, where people just think, look, I've been involved in all these other things, I really don't want to, this is boring as anything, I probably don't want to have any input. So we're just slowing that slightly, just to get a little bit of clear air with the current stuff that's going on, and then we can accelerate that. But so we just have to time it around what happens with the planning engagement processes as well. So that one's underway. Obviously events and activities, big load there, which tapers off after the 7-month mark. We just got a couple of events towards the end of this financial year which are run by the community, which we support there as well. Obviously, one of the critical questions that we've got coming up is just in relation to our focus on wellbeing. So with Leah moving on, and it is also the end of that wellbeing certificate project, what our involvement looks like moving forward. That's a conversation point that we will be having as part of the annual plan process for the 25-26 year there as well. Economic development strategy is another major project that we've had this year, taken up a lot of resources. Not quite finished, we're just waiting for the presentation, which should happen in June. So then that one will be finished this year as well. And Delara will be able to spend lots of time with her head buried in that and activating some of that. She can't wait. Can't wait. Housing is sort of one which is sort of, it's an annoying one in some ways, because we're frustrated due to having to deal with other agencies and stakeholders. So it's not one where we have a high degree of control, it's how we can influence and activate in that space. And at the end of the day, you can send emails, you can make phone calls, but unless you get responses, you're caught in all the housing thing as well. But we are making slow progress on a number of fronts there, but hopefully that will accelerate in the remainder of this year. In the environment goal, as mentioned, there's a couple of major land use type projects there, plus also the Scamander Rivermouth one there as well. I think it's also worth noting that another key thing that we finished this year, which is a major piece of work, is the dog policy review. The number of hours that go into that is extraordinary. Only has to be done every 10 years, so it's a handy thing given the amount of work that goes into it. So I don't think Polly's going to be around next year. I'm not sure she's quite at that stage. A lot of solid work happening in the climate change space there through the action plans. That one is really increasing and will continue to increase in years ahead. When we come to the infrastructure perspective, there's a number of projects there that's linked to the livability strategy, and then there we've cleared the decks with a few projects completing or well underway. We had a discussion at the March Council workshop around the approach. So now we're focusing on how we implement that approach, so that will accelerate over the next few months, and we'll get moving on that one. And then obviously, as mentioned there, the funding that for the study hub, that's a really important piece for education, for our youth, for a whole range of things, for want of a better term, for our communities on the East Coast, and to how we can sort of, increase retention, completion, offer accessible pathways for tertiary and vocational education moving forward as well. So we'll see the impact of that in future years as well. Those are the key things, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to take questions.
Firstly, can I get somebody to move the report? Councillor Carter, second Councillor Theodore. Any questions on the report, Councillor Carter?
Thank you. I heard your words around the wellbeing project, and I'm in total agreement with that. I'm just wondering, given the workload that was involved with Leah and certainly Chris's team, I'm just wondering if there's anything we can do in the interim to make sure that we don't lose any impetus in that.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. It was a unfortunate timing, but equally too, it was towards the tail end of that, so we've got a little bit of resource to help us with that, to get the completion piece, and then we'll do the acquittal on the grant, and then refocus and look to what the future is. So that's part of the conversation with the council. Chris may want to make a comment.
Through you, Mayor, there's a group that's been formed called Wellbeing Summit Group as well, and we'll be supporting them as well. So I'm supporting them at the moment as well. So that's still continuing in the community with the wellbeing.
Any other questions? John, that one.
Can I make a comment too? That summary was quite amazing. I think it highlights, and we've been talking about it throughout the day, it's been a bit of a theme about the workload that's involved in all this stuff. I find it, from my thinking, incomprehensible that you've got so many different projects out there that are vitally important. And the one thing that frustrates me about that is that they all intermingle. So therefore, for example, the sports grounds master plan can't be completed or furthered until something else happens. So I guess what I'm saying is I applaud the amount of work that's been done. I'm just wondering if there's some way we can expedite some of these things so we can get on with all the other things that are sitting waiting.
I think, through you, Councillor Carter, thank you. With the livability strategy piece, that's going to bring all those things together in a cohesive manner at the same time. That's the intent, to bring them all there. Let's deal with this, rather than this happening here and that happening there, and a bit of this tenuous connection rather than integration. So this will pull all of those threads together. So it's a bit like clearing the decks a bit so that we can put the amount of focus into this major piece of work that's needed. So I think we're getting to that stage now with what's gone there, and some of these other ones will be getting into a space where largely the planning ones operate through development services. So I think, yeah, I'm reasonably comfortable that we're getting to that space. The same with the infrastructure type stuff David's been working on. We've got to a certain point where we've now got a bit of free air, light at the end of the tunnel.
Councillor Johnson.
I too would like to thank you, John, for that report. It was very helpful for me. I agree there's a lot going on, and there's a lot for us to keep across. So often, for me, I feel that I'm not across everything. We do try to. I'm interested in your comment there that we have all those different things, and the livability project will be that pulls it together. So for me, that's probably a very important one for us as councillors to get our heads around how that's all those strings are coming together to make the bow, so to speak. Yes, I acknowledge there's a lot of work that's being done by this department, by planning. I see that there's a lot happening there too, which I think that we need to be across as well, because they're big. The Beaumaris, Scamander and the industrial site, these are things that are important that us councillors are across, because it's the work of the council, like people. I heard the Mayor on the radio this morning about the work of, that councils, there's more and more and more, and some of our people, I'm not saying all of them, but people aren't really aware, and we can be that group of people that can have those conversations. It's, yeah.
I'm very mindful of the load on councils with this work and having to be across it all, and sort of the guidance that this is our everyday guidance. Job.
Yeah.
The councils as elected members, and it's a depth and that. So you're very much aware of that as well, and that's why we just try and schedule things and do things in logical chunks with things as well. But really, the whole load is spread across the whole organisation as well. So no matter which section, they've got elements, they're involved, they're taking leadership of things as well, be it corporate services, development services, infrastructure works. There's a range of people that are involved, which is great because there's a capacity within the team to lead and deliver on a range of different projects at the same time. So,
if I may, Councillor Johnson, across the board, we have an absolutely incredible set of staff, managers and people underneath them. And a lot of people just do not recognise the workload until you go through something like this that absolutely everybody is under without extra workload being put on them. So that's why it's important to recognise the incredible managers, the workloads that they manage and the people underneath them have got a pretty full, when you get that report, as you just said, it brings it together that you understand that they're all intermingled, working together, and they do have a big workload, and we're a small council. and they do an incredible job. So from the general manager right down, we should be very proud of our workforce and the workload that they deliver, considering the resources that we have.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of internal ones, behind the scenes things like digital transformation. I skipped over asset management, all the financial things, the human resource systems, all of that. Back there, they're not outward facing. Talked about, these are the outward facing ones, but just that day-to-day service delivery and everything else that goes on there.
John,
That's the core.
Barry.
I was just going to say, something that stands out to me regarding the staff is they're not just working hard to get promoted or whatever. They work hard because they're really proud locals. They want what's best for our community.
And that's why I'm raising what I'm raising, for us to be across it, because lots of people aren't aware of it. And not just about the staff, as we've indicated, people are paid to do this work, but what the council is actually doing within the community, because people, you know, it's not so well known, that's all I'm saying, and it's good for me. That was a good summary that makes me feel a little bit more at ease to talk about bringing all those things together and livability strategies and that sort of stuff. That actually helps because we are out in the community and we are representatives and we do make the decisions. So it's really good for us to be able to be across it. So I thank the General Manager for the report.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll take this to the vote. All in favour? Carried unanimous. John, if I may, I should have brought this up earlier. So basically another business item. I've been asked to go down to Diners Basin to have a look at an issue down there, which is not ours, it's Parks and Wildlife. I just think we may need to write a letter, so that's where I'm moving to. I went down there yesterday. Parks has put up a fence at the end of the Diners Basin for some reason, but they've just cut all the trees down and dumped in a heap, left it as a fire hazard behind the fence, which is not a real good look. But on the way down yesterday afternoon at approximately 3 o'clock, I seen 4 feral cats, 3 roosters and 2 hens running around on Parks and Wildlife land. Now, would it be prudent that as a council, I went down and had a look at the fence that they'd put up? Already we've had some creative people cut a hole in the fence and wire the fence back so they can get access to what they've always walked down to, the beach. But the just cutting things down and throwing them in a big heap as a fire hazard is not a good look. But the amount of feral animals, being feral cats, roosters and hens running around down there behind where the old powerboat shed is quite concerning. Would it be that we should write just a letter to Parks and alert them to those concerns?
We can do that, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.
Cats have invaded Freshwater Creek too, if you want to know me. They're everywhere. Not just in Diners Basin. Yeah.
It is a concern. A lot of people are raising it, and during the middle of the day to see them out in the numbers they are is quite a concerning for our wildlife. That was the reason I was raising it. We're going to go into closed council now, so Rosanna, I hope you've enjoyed your morning.